Right, we're back. We're joined by Nukeduck of XL. So, first question. Why do you hate Advien? No, obviously, if people don't know, Nukeduck here plays for XL, has been for the last few splits. And the first topic we should address is this topic, because basically, there's a situation where last split, if people remember, partway through the split, they brought in Advien and Marcoon, these Dutch support jungle duo. They brought them in. They looked like they sort of turned XL around a little bit. They were in the position to maybe make the playoffs. They didn't. Then in this split, the split started not very well in terms of record. A few weeks in, Adrian was removed, and he did also do a twit longer way. It was sort of like he sort of won over the community. I feel like he phrased it in a way where it sounded like he was screwed over a bit and maybe didn't get a chance. But the player, to be fair, that he was being replaced by is Mikyx, who was like a many-time LEC champion, MSI champion, blah, blah, blah. So let's just start with that topic, Nukeduck, because people are going to want to talk about it anyway. Like, give us your thoughts on it. Like, it was implied, I saw by Patrick's statement, it was almost implied like the org made the move and not the players or something. Can you tell us anything about this move?
Yeah, that's right. So the as far as I know, the decision was made by the coaches and the management, and they didn't want to talk about it with the players because they knew that like the whole team is like pretty good friends. So they thought that it would be hard for us to be like, you know, not biased. So, but in my opinion, it was a good move because Mikyx won the best sports in Europe, of course. So, you know, while there was not like Advien was like the main problem of the team, and they were not like, I think, looking to replace him. It was more that, you know, Mikyx was available and they thought it would be a good idea. And I think that they did the right choice, and I also think that they did the right choice not asking us because the team was not doing it.
Sounds like, right?
I'm not sure.
As a team collectively, people would have said, let's stick with Advien, probably, right?
Yeah, that could have definitely happened because also we didn't play that well the first 2 weeks. And it was not like it was his fault, or I think everyone kind of played bad, and it would feel very bad to feel like, you know, you didn't perform your best and then you tell, you know, your team that they should replace your friend when you also feel like you didn't perform. So I think overall they handled it well, despite, yeah, I mean, of course it sucks for Advien, but
yeah, of course.
But that's just how it is. They want to get like the best team possible and try to win. So.
Right, Monty, I want to get your take on this because this is actually a topic we could spin out a little bit, which is essentially, this is always going to be a really unpopular move. I'll give you an example, Monty. This actually just happened in CSGO as well. In CSGO, there's a team, Virtus Pro, which is from the CIS region, Eastern European team. And basically, they already had like a pretty good team, but their team had dropped in the rankings. Let's say they were like the 11th best team or something. And because earlier in 2021, they'd been like one of the best teams, like say like the 5th best team, they made a big move right before the major, the World Championship in Counter-Strike, where they took out the player that on paper was the worst player and they put in like a promising player who had like real talent, right? Even though they did end up actually making like top 8 of the major, they're now actually still in Katowice at the moment. They're like one of the best teams in the world. The fans were super against this because not only did they not like that this player who was like a well-loved player was removed, but also it was implied publicly that the org didn't ask the players permission. In fact, in their case, I remember it was something like they just sort of like said it to the players and the players were sort of like, I don't have an opinion either way, like you just do what you think's right. So the sidebar is this, Monty. I know a lot of fans, and I noticed from talking to even people like Dom, who are from the player perspective, they all want it to be that the players get to decide who's in the team because their whole vibe is like, you know, they're the ones playing the game. Like, what if you don't feel comfortable with the guy you play with? I want to get your takes. I feel like you're in Mark camp further, mate. Like, I personally think if you're like the millionaire fucking owner of the team and the coaches, that's like, you're the people who actually will get judged by whether the team lives or dies. Like, you're the ones who make the investment. I think you should make the choice personally. I think it should be more like sports, you know.
So I think that there's kind of there's different schools of thought. Like, I can tell you that the way that I ran Renegades was very vertical because even though there are obviously sports and esports owners with different levels of game knowledge. When I was running Renegades, I had excellent game knowledge, you know what I mean? But even then, because I wasn't there, I was in Korea day to day, I would just translate everything directly down through the coaching staff and allow them to make decisions, because ultimately I would be the one making decisions kind of in a vacuum. So I was trying to back up my coaches. Now, you know, there are managers that, and also I think destroy your coach's authority. Basically, you do what TSM does when Reggie just like walks in the room, is that you undermine all of your coach's authority when you try and directly manage a team. But at the same time, I think you have to, you should be checking with your coaches, but you also have an obligation. And this is kind of what Jack does, which is like when something's not working on a roster with Cloud9 historically, or even if it looks like it's working fine, but if there's interpersonal issues, he will make adjustments very quickly. And it doesn't sound like, obviously, from what Nukeduck's saying and from what I understand, that there were interpersonal issues before. And I think what's interesting about this particular move is that last year I said that I tweeted like that the improvement you saw when two rookies, Marcoon and Advien, were added to XL was incredible. It was immediately noticeable. Rare to see two rookies performing at that level. Obviously nice to bring them both in when they had an established synergy already, that they could translate that jungle support synergy onto the map. But you would have thought that basically not even a full split of play, you would have given perhaps a little more leash. However, I think there are extraordinary circumstances, and when a player of Mikyx's expertise comes available, it's one of those situations where you're hoping Advien becomes a Mikyx. So like, why not just get Mikyx if he's available? He's fucking right there. We haven't heard issues of him in the past being a bad teammate. We know he can contribute. I assume, Nukeduck, that he contributes pretty enormously to your macro and your comms. Is that fair to say?
I'll be interested because normally people say he's pretty quiet.
I don't think I think he just understands it really well, and then most likely it's like more Mark and me more talking, I would say, and but everyone talks, but he's a bit more quiet, but he's also like, he understands this really well, so he doesn't have to, I think he just knows what he has to do, so he just like does it and plays very well, but he also gives his opinions, if he thinks that we are doing something wrong.
He obviously is. If people don't realise, he obviously is a very decisive player. Just think about when he joined the team. Like, my joke was that fucking Leona catch he had against like Fnatic when he joined your team. Like, he just justified his whole salary right then. Just got a fucking perfect engage off that beat the best team in the league in theory. Like, what would you say the strengths of Mikyx are?
I think his strength definitely engaging. Yeah, like he knows when to go, and he's really not scared to die. And I really enjoy that in especially my support now in season 12, that he's not scared to die. So I would say he plays very well mechanically, and he also plays like every champion. So drafting becomes like better. But I would say most like I think he plays just extremely well. But I also think he knows well every other role, kind of what they have to do and how their champions work, so he can very well include himself in the game because he knows already all like how all of the other lanes work, so he can easily he can just impact without having to have too much communication to get it started. He just knows kind of what he needs to do.
To be fair as well, like, if you appreciate that, a support who's not afraid to die, no wonder you love to play with Mithy in Origin. That guy died more times than fucking Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow. Whatever. That's just a straight shot. There's no extra part about Mithy. You just do that for no reason. Love you. Still love you, mate. I actually do think, though, by the way, I was joking about the Fnatic thing. Obviously, it's just a one-off game. And by the way, Fnatic played that Dragon fight fucking terribly. But I will say, like, I actually think that's a mad underrated quality, by the way. Everyone loves it in Hylissang, but somehow Mikyx never gets that credit. Like, having a really good support who can engage at a world-class level is fucking so valuable in League of Legends. There's so many teams don't have that right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes it so first of all, the enemy has to be, worried the whole game. They have to play scared, and you can always come back, and you can end the game easier. And also from like when you play a carry perspective, it's way easier to play if your team like finds the engage first, because then they can't engage on you, so you can just deal damage, right? So it's I think it's super important too.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.